Hey, what's good, y'all? Jay Boogie in full effect mode. Bun down is this sound. You know how we do. This is, of course, The Lounge Presents, live streaming on Twitch. And to cap off our series, The New Renaissance of Chicago, where we shed a spotlight on what's going on 8 hours below us, if you drive.
Yeah.
And we couldn't think of a better way to cap this off than with this gentleman right here. So right about now, we're going to give it up to this one, the one and only Vice.
Appreciate it.
Hey, yo, it's a
Good,
pleasure,
was
man, and
good
an
with you, man.
honor. I
Appreciate
was,
the
re- I,
invite, man.
oh no, man, I'm really, we were really happy with you saying yes and coming onto the podcast.
Mm, most definitely. I appreciate the
Yes, sir.
invite, man. I've been watching you guys, and so you know what I'm saying, this was pretty dope invite. I was surprised. It was great. Great.
Hey, salute to you,
That's
man.
doing a
It's all
great
good.
job.
So we're gonna start off. We're gonna ask you a question that we ask everyone that comes into the lounge space. How are you introduced to hip hop culture?
Um, my first introduction to hip hop culture started probably when I was a kid. My uncle was a DJ, and I heard the song "Rapper's Delight." Like mostly everybody, that was probably my first introduction to it. But getting seriously involved in hip hop probably came in my high school. During that time, being from Chicago, you know, we're big on house music here. So I was a
Yes,
big
sir.
house music fan. I was a big house music fan. I loved Prince. I loved Michael Jackson, and just you know, music and beyond. But it was like I would say '88 when the Colors movie came out, and I heard the Colors
Okay.
soundtrack, and I heard Rakim, the Paid in Full, and Big Daddy Kane Raw. Those two
Oh,
songs, yeah, those two songs were like, I was like, what is this? I've been listening to hip hop. I've been listening to Run DMC. I've been listening to Houdini, and I'd have heard nothing like this. And I love those guys. When I heard those two songs, it was like, oh man, and that was it. After that, I was a hip hop junkie. After that,
yo,
it was over.
I'm I'm feeling you on that, man. And what I'm glad you brought up the color soundtrack because what I thought was dope about that was you had the title tune,
Hmm.
Colors joint, Ice-T's joint, right? But then Raw was a little bit later on. It was sequenced a little bit later in the soundtrack,
Right.
and it's like two disparate styles of rap going up in
Yeah.
there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And back then it was pretty dope because hip hop it was still being introduced. And being from Chicago, we had the West Coast, we had the East Coast, we had all the flavors. Down south, we had everything being played on the radio here. So, you know, to hear the Ice-T Colors joint, and you know, there was another song in there by a group called, I think it was Mad World. I forgot the name of the group. It was that was a dope soundtrack. And so it was after
Yeah.
that soundtrack is when I wanted to hear KRS-One and Public Enemy and the Chubb Rocks and WAs and Special Eds. It was like that's when I got and just encompassed with hip hop and fell in love with the whole thing. After that, it was no looking back. No looking back after that.
Nah, for real though, right?
Yeah, it was no
You're
look.
not lying when you say no looking back. For real.
Yeah, it was over with,
Once
man. After that, fell in love with it after
once
that.
yeah, for real, for real. Yo, let me ask you this. What did you grow up around the home listening to? What was the family playing when you were growing up?
That's funny. Uh, my home was very big on music. My mother and father both collected records. So my mom was mostly R&B, Al Green, Commodores, Gladys Knight, you know, all the R&B things. My dad was mostly, he loved jazz. He loved Kool and the Gang, James Brown. But it's funny you ask that because my father's record collection, like when hip hop started, my dad would be like, "Hey man, I got that song." Like he had all of the samples. So he had like
Nice.
most of the producers that I work with to this day, I give them samples. Like my dad had all the samples, man. So I was very like in the house. That's why it was hard for me when you're growing up, you really like what your parents like, and I liked what my parents like. So I listened to hip hop on the radio, but I didn't. It didn't grasp me like R&B did. I
Okay.
wanted to be a singer,
Yeah, yeah.
but it wasn't until I got to be in high school when I heard, other what everybody else was doing with it. There was a radio station in Chicago, WHPK. It's a
Okay.
college radio station. They play underground hip hop, and it was an introduction to a lot of hip hop for me. So that changed a lot once that happened, and then to be able to have the roots that I had with music. The funk songs and the soul and the jazz, and I grew up to those songs. It was like hip hop was like it was right there, it fit like a puzzle. Because I grew up in a musical household. Like, look, I had a record player, Jay, when I was my first record player when I was 5.
I believe it.
So I was playing records. I was playing records. My family grew up. I grew up on the west side of Chicago, and my aunties when they had parties, they let me play the records. So I was that kid
Nice.
that knew I knew what records to play. So I loved music, man. So music was something that was very big in my childhood, and it helped me out a lot growing up writing songs and just having samples for DJs and producers to use and play.
No
Yeah,
doubt. And I mean, if the fam trusts you with the turntable when the
yeah,
parties
they
are going
trusted me,
on,
man.
if they trusted you, man, then you knew what was going on. Okay.
Yeah, and I was a kid. I was about 5, 6 years old. That's how I started, and I knew what songs to play. I could read on the little thing what it was, and that really got me. That got me going as a kid, man. Music, and it was the music that I grew up with. My parents just playing music all the time. It was a very my household was a very musical household, very
I hear
musical.
that. I hear that. Well, with growing up with all that music around the house, before you ever discovered hip hop, were there yearnings to, become a musician or to sing?
Yeah, Prince. Like growing up, I loved Prince. I got
Woo,
paid to
hell
do
yeah.
Yeah, I got paid to do Michael Jackson when I was a kid. So
Nice.
it was like Michael, Prince, New Edition. I wanted to be one of those guys. I wanted to be in R&B, singing and dancing. I knew I wanted to do something
Yeah.
performance wise.
Yeah.
So even when I first fell in love with hip hop, I didn't start writing. I was doing that. I was dancing. I was like leg one and
Okay.
two, and MC Hammer. I was doing that. I didn't really pick
Hey.
up the pen for rapping until maybe my senior year of high school, like 17, 18 years old. A little late in life. I love poetry all the time, but it was a little late to pick up the pen for a lot of rappers. But yeah, it was like I wanted to. That was my thing. I wanted to be performing. It was like I wanted to be an R&B singer, but I couldn't sing.
I
Couldn't
mean,
sing. Voice wasn't the voice for the singer, man. It was so the grabbing the microphone and spitting rhymes came naturally because I was already doing talent shows and things like that, dancing and singing growing up.
I was just about to ask you that because the assumption was that okay, this as a kid, you obviously had a performing bug in you, so you had to have done the
Yeah,
talent shows. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Had to do the talent shows, man. I was in school. I did Michael Jackson. I did Prince. It was always Michael Jackson, Prince, or James Brown on the talent show. That's what I was doing
Man,
because I could do those well.
could you go wrong? Could you go wrong?
Yeah, can't go wrong with those three, man. So it was
I
like it was kind of easy. Like a lot of times people can't perform. It was performing for me was it was came automatically. I loved growing up. I loved to be the center of attention. So being on someone's stage was perfect for me. It was perfect.
yeah, that's definitely the
That
perfect
was
place
perfect.
right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, when you were starting to discover hip hop and when you were starting to maybe you get those first inklings that maybe you actually want to put pen to pad, were the homies around you similarly also getting into the culture at the same time, or were you kind of like odd person out?
Yeah, it was equal. Like I said, I started in high school. We all loved hip hop. We would be in class writing rhymes, and we would meet each other in the middle of class, going to class. We would spit all the verses, and everybody was like, "Man, you pretty good at this." Like I was better than everybody else. They're like, "You pretty good." So I started to
There you
take it
go.
seriously. But yeah, hip hop. Growing up in Chicago, man, it was about all the kids around me, my age, we loved hip hop, and like I said, we grew with it. So we was listening to everything from MC Light to Chubb Rock to MC Hammer to Cypress Hill to what's my guy name? Mellow Man Ace.
Hey,
Yeah, it was
Yosa.
everything. Yeah, everything, man. We listened to everything. There was a hip hop show that came on one of the radio stations in Chicago on Saturday nights. And so they played a lot of hip hop, so the hip hop that we getting here. And like I was telling you, the college radio station played the underground hip hop, but they
Yep.
still had the curses in it. And that was my first time hearing the WA. So
Hey,
yeah, it was like us growing up, it was, that's what you heard in the cars with us, man. It was the hip hop. Whatever was the newest CD or tape or CD, we were playing it. So all of my friends around me were just like me. We all fell in love with hip hop about the same time. About the same time.
man,
It was like,
I hear you on that for real. Now, back then we had the advantage. I mean, for us, it was an advantage. We had the advantage of college radio stations and community radio stations where we could really, get up on the latest shit,
yeah,
concurrently, right? Whereas I don't
yeah,
know, I don't know that like college and community radio has the same impact that it did back then. What with
hmm,
everything streaming now and everything,
yeah,
and that's fine and all. Like I appreciate streaming for what it is and for what positives may exist with it, but there was nothing like like tuning into your favorite college station, knowing when the DJs you prefer were going to play, and then waiting for that show to come on
right,
so you can hear the new shit.
right.
Yeah,
That was it, man. And yeah, being able to call in and ask for songs to come on and have your radio playing and you get your dubbing on
yeah,
and take your tapes and everything, man. Yeah, that was top notch. That was
yeah,
top notch growing up. That was
yeah.
top notch.
Especially when special guests were live in the studio, so that they do
Yeah,
the
yeah,
interview, but then they'd be able to cut some bars still.
right. Still be able to, yeah, true. Still be able to cut the bars there, man. That was true.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
Let me ask you
That
this.
was a great time, man. Like you said, streaming has kind of changed things.
Yeah, yeah, it,
Go ahead.
it has. But I mean, you take, you as I think as man, even just as people of color, just let's keep it a buck. Learning to adapt with all the everything that comes at you is kind of like ingrained. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
So I get it. Yeah,
yeah,
streaming
true.
now. Yes, we've adapted to streaming, and that's all fine and dandy. And maybe I'm being a little bit romantic talking about how dope it was to have, really good college stations in North America.
Yes, it was very needed, and it was needed too.
Yeah,
It was needed.
definitely.
We needed
Yep.
that. The
And
radio,
and
we needed it. It was something that was needed too. Yeah,
yeah, and it was a great way for artists to also, once you got your joints being, being played by whomever, you had an opportunity to actually chart outside of the Billboard chart, right? Because there was reporting
true,
to college charts. You know what I mean? So it's still a great way
true.
to help promote what you're doing.
Exactly. It was
And
great
I
way.
and I just right, and I just don't know how effective it is anymore in 2024. But I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, just kind of adapt, right?
True. You have to. That's how we do it.
Now,
You got to adapt.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Let me ask you this. So you discovered hip hop. You discovered the art of emceeing. You found influences in some really notable figures. When did you have your epiphany moment when you said, "Yo, I think I can spit, and I think I've got something to say."
Let me see. Where would I be? I think my epiphany moment came my probably in college. I went to
Okay.
Jackson State University in Mississippi, and in school there was a crew. There was a crew called the Stupot Stowaways, and
Okay.
it had some David Banner was in the Stupot Stowaways because he's from Jackson, Mississippi.
Okay.
Um, and it was around that time, I was at home. Before I went to school, I'm doing the hip hop thing. I'm in the ciphers with everybody doing the ciphering. But it was when I got to school and I would get in those ciphers and people would, oh, oh, oh. And it was like, that was when I was like, okay, I got something here. And I was able to freestyle. So it was like, I had something. I could tell by the when I walked away from the cipher, I could hear the whisper, and I was like, okay, I think I got something. I
Yeah.
think I might be pretty good at this. So more people started telling me, hey man, you're pretty good at this. That's when it really clicked. And when I really knew I had something was when I came back home to Chicago, and they had the open mics here. It was a lot of open mics in Chicago back in the 90s. And I got my name out. And that's when I knew. I was like, whoa, people rocking with me for real. I had to take this seriously. So like that was it. That when I saw how they reacted, you get that's one of the best feelings on earth. You on stage being an artist or a DJ, when you play certain songs, you do certain things, and the crowd reacts. That's when I knew I had something. I was like, okay, I think I need to take this seriously and work on this art of mine. And
There
it
you go.
and it kind of worked a little bit. Kind of worked a little bit.
And that reaction that you describe is is something that not everyone is going to experience in their lives. You know what I'm saying? That it's a very unique feeling when you know you and a crowd have clicked.
Yeah. Yes.
It's a very
Yes.
unique feeling, and not everyone's gonna feel that in their lifetimes. You know what I'm saying? But
No.
for those that do, woo!
Yeah. It's not, it's a euphoria. It's nothing like it, man. It's like a drug. That's what we tell
Oh
them when
yeah,
you're on stage, man. It's like a drug. Like if
oh
you
yeah,
feel the crowd energy, man, and you hear those people screaming back at you, it's like it's the best feeling in the world. The
definitely.
best feeling in the world. Nothing like it.
So no, nothing at all. So let me fast forward a little bit. You've had your epiphany moment. You know you're 10 toes, right? You're 10 toes, and
Mhm.
you start you start to do some shows. Can you recall the first
Mhm.
time the family got to see you live?
Oh wow. Let me see. I don't think my mother and father never saw me live. But I had cousins. A lot of my family members got to see me live when I was part of a group in Chicago called the Drunk Uncles. Big up to my boy Tony Baines and Led Law. And we made a lot of noise. We was making a lot of noise, and so they would have us opening up for artists coming to Chicago, and that's when a lot of my family members were starting to come to the shows. You know what I mean? And then when I started working with Slum Village and going on tour with Slum, I would have different family members come to see me at different shows in different states. So that was dope because they knew they were my cousins seeing me at the family reunions, doing the dancing and doing all of that. So they saw it. They knew something was gonna come from that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that was about the yeah, when I started, it was like it took a little while, man. So I've been rapping for a long time before anybody in my family has seen me. And they was looking at it like, oh,
Right.
he's just rapping. He ain't doing nothing to see him. They start seeing him and make newspapers and thing. It was like, oh, we need to go check him out. So it was great to be backstage and have cousins come backstage. Be like, oh, you did good. So it was about that time, man. Yeah. I'd probably been doing music about 10 years before any of my family members actually came to see my shows. Happened in a little
It's
while.
And I mean that, and that's another feeling. Again, another unique moment that not everyone is necessarily going to be able to experience. But it's, I mean, when the family sees you for the first time, and they see how serious you were when you told them, you know what I mean,
Right.
way back when. Oh no,
They
no,
like,
it's happening for real.
right. They like, this serious. He's serious. He's serious.
Yeah.
This. I was serious. I was serious. I
Yep. And I
was
mean, to
serious.
be on a bill with Slum Village, I think it shows the talent level
Yeah.
that was obviously evident.
Yeah, that was my people. My cousin Scrap Dirty. He he worked with Slum Village back in 2004, 2005. So he
Right.
was the
Yeah.
one who connected me. Right. Yeah.
Salute Scrap
Yeah.
Dirty all day.
Yeah. Yeah. He collected me with Young RJ, and that's how I started to work with Slum. So I was in Detroit a lot. I was right over the water from you guys, man. I was right there. I was in
Yeah.
Detroit.
Yeah.
I was in Detroit for a long time, a couple of years, man, working with those guys. So I love the scene, the hip hop scene in Canada. Y'all got a dope scene. I love, it's just different areas. Me going around the world to see how hip hop is, how it's embraced, still embraced, but embraced differently. You know what I'm saying? That's a great
Yep.
thing.
Yep.
But
Yep.
yeah,
I'm glad you say that, man, because in our lifetimes, we're able to say we saw this culture hit a 50-year mark in our lifetimes, man.
yeah, in
Like
our
that's,
lifetime, yeah. That's why I say,
you
yeah,
know,
that's a big thing. That's why I tell people all the time, we grew up with hip hop. It's kind of hard to say it's getting old because we grew up with it. I remember when it started. I remember when it first started. That was another reason why I probably didn't love it the way I wanted to as a kid, because my father dissed it. He looked at it like
mm,
he looked at it like it was disco. He said, that's a fad. It's
right.
gonna be like disco. It's gonna come and go. It's not gonna stay. And I believed him because I saw what disco did. But
Yeah.
then when we look at here comes 87, 88, the golden year. And then you hit
Yes.
92, and then 94, and then 98. I'm like, wait a minute, this ain't going nowhere. This ain't going nowhere.
Nope.
Especially when
Definitely
87,
not.
when that 10 year hit, man, and you had Kane and Public
Woo.
Enemy and KRS-One and MC Light and all these different groups, I was like, oh yeah, hip hop's not going nowhere. It's not going nowhere. Let me jump on the bandwagon now. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, it's great to sit and see the growth of this beautiful culture, man. It's great. It's great.
Yes, definitely. I second that thought all day. So let me touch on Slum Village for a second. Obviously, as you mentioned, you were introduced through DJ Scrap Dirty, representing, and he introduced you to Young RJ. Now,
Yeah.
as you know, we meet people all the time in the music industry,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't always result in working together. It doesn't
True.
always result in appreciating, not necessarily not appreciating, but just not necessarily being down with what everyone else is doing. But somehow you two clicked. What was it?
Yeah. Um, I'm gonna keep it a buck, man. It was I got to big up myself, man, and pop my collar, man. It was
Hell yeah.
I was I was I'm good. I'm good. When I started
There you
working with Young
go.
RJ, it was me and Jay. Jay was me and him clicked like brothers, and Jay was going to produce for me. He had just started wanting to rap, so I was teaching Jay how to rap and writing for him and teaching him cadences and things like that. And from my understanding, he was producing because he was in BR Gunner, but he started producing for Slum Village. And he said one day T3 was going through folders and they was working on their album, and T3 heard some beats that Jay had given me that I was rapping on. And 3 was like, hey, man, he can rap his ass off, but we need those beats. We need those beats, Jay. Vice can't have those beats, man. So it was then when I got a chance to hang around T3, and he saw how talented I was, and he trusted me to sit in in studio sessions with Slum Village and help make records and help come up with hooks. I think that's what it was. They looked at me as being talented. And that came from, like I tell people all the time, it came from one thing about Chicago. Chicago is a very hard city to make it in. We don't need A&Rs. So we're looking at 1994. We don't need them. So we're looking at 94 when I came home from Jackson State. And so 2004 is 10 years later, about 2004, 2005. I'm seasoned. I can freestyle. I learned how to write by working with, I have to give props to Twilight Tone, because Twilight Tone pulled me to the side and had me at his home teaching me how to write, because I used to write as an MC. I was talking to the rappers. And Twilight was like, no, man, rappers are not listening to you. You have to talk to the world. So he taught me how to write, how to be an MC and to write, and that changed. So by the time I went to the school of Twilight Tone School and the school with the Drunk Uncles with Tony Baines, I was ready to work with the Slum Village. If it wasn't for those guys, I probably wouldn't have been able to do it. But by the time that happened, and when T3 said he heard my music, he was like, dude can rap. We need to pull him on in. So that's how those guys became my brothers, and I was on records with been on Slum Village albums, which helped me get to meet Frank Nitt from Frank and Dank, and Illa J is like my little brother, and they put me on the Yancey Boys album. So just to connect with T3 and Slum Village was a great bridge for me to introduce me to a whole different audience of people, man. So I'll always be grateful to those brothers for that. And like I said to my cuz for introducing me to them. Because at that time, like Scrap had been in the game for a minute. And that's my cousin. He was like, Vice, when I make it, I'm gonna bring you with me. But he was like he's a week older than me. He's just 1 week older than me. He's like the big cousin. And he saw the growth I needed to do, So he was like, he would always tell me, you're not ready. You're not ready yet, cuz. You're not ready. You're not ready yet, cuz. I want him to introduce me to these people. Like, no, you're not ready. So when I started working with the Drunk Uncles and he saw that I was writing hooks, he like, who wrote that hook? I'm like, I wrote that hook. He like, okay. Who wrote this? I wrote that. He like, okay. All right, you might be ready now. So he watched me. He always said he didn't want to throw me out to the wolves and I wasn't ready. So when Scrap said he felt I was ready, that's when he brought me to Detroit. And I started working with Slum and our young RJ, and I guess he was right. At that time I was ready.
Yo, Scrap was your A&R, man.
Yes, he was. That was my A&R, man. And like I said, because he went to Jackson State with me also. We had a group together. I was the rapper, he was the DJ. So he knew, he knew what I was capable of doing. And so he just kept his eye on me. Like I said, I joined the Drunk Uncles and we made a lot of noise in Chicago with no album. We never dropped an album. It was just our stage show. He was watching it. He would come to Chicago and watch the shows and watch me perform. And he was like, okay, I think you're ready. I think you can go around these guys and which was good because working with Slum, I'm sitting in the room with T3 and Elzai and Black Milk and Frank Nitt, Illa J. I'm around some talented dudes, man. Fat Cat, Arv1. I'm around talented guys, and they respected my pen. So that let me know that I was doing something right. You know what I'm saying? And I just kept on it, man. I just kept on it. That was like a great fire.
Yo, you definitely were doing something right, man. And I'll be honest. I first got wind of you through the Dirty Slum records.
Yeah.
And then I remember seeing your name on the Yankee Boys record. And for some reason, it made me think, oh, I wonder if he's from Detroit.
A lot of people thought I was from Detroit, man. A lot of people thought I was from Detroit.
All over the place.
A lot of people thought I was from Detroit, man. I tell people all the time, Detroit is like Chicago. That's our cousins. They're 4 hours away up the street. But working with the guys I worked with, the only guy from Chicago that had done it at that time was Common. Common was the only person that worked with them. Now we have my little homie Brittany Carter who just did something with Slum, but that was a big thing, and it was something that I always wanted. Like, I have to say this, I always tell people that you can manifest things, and I remember the first time I heard Slum Village's fantastic album, and I was blown away. I knew who JD was, but I didn't know of him like that. And I remember when I heard that album, I said that one day I was going to work with J Dilla and Slum Village. That was something I promised. So every time I went to the booth to record, I wanted to record to where when they heard me, they were going to be like, "We're going to rock with dude." So just being able to be on the Dirty Slums was like a dream come true, man, because that was what I worked all those years for, was to be around those guys, man. I thought those was to me, T3, everybody loves Elzai. Elzai is a dope-ass MC. But T3 is
Hell
one of the
yeah.
coldest MCs, man. T3, his style, his cadences, all of that. Hey,
Oh yeah.
hey. That's
Hell
T3.
yeah.
That's 3. All of that is 3. And that's the sound that Slum had. So to be able to sit around those dudes, man, and learn, ask questions, and they didn't trip about the questions I asked. Like, I would have Elzai up all night, man, asking me questions. T3 up all night asking questions, man. We just drinking. I'm just talking and soaking up info and game and wisdom.
Game, definitely.
And it worked. It worked, man. It worked.
And look how full circle it went. And did T3 not end up doing a project with you?
Yes. Yeah,
There you
T3
go.
is that's my bro. T3 full circle. 3 is since that time, 3 has involved me on every project that he's done. And then a couple of years ago, he started back doing beats. People don't know that T3 does beats. And he sent me some beats, man. It was around the time my mom died. I had nothing to do. And I just started writing. And we knocked out that whole project, man. V3 project. He has a couple of songs on my new album. And yeah, man, that's like a full circle thing. I have a whole project with Young RJ, the Seventh Son, and I have a whole project with T3.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
so
to be honest, I'll be one of those people that had no idea that T3 had beats like that. Because when I heard the beats he did for you, I was like, oh, okay. All right.
yeah, man. Three got some heat, man. Three did a lot. Like, people don't know that when they were in Slum, a lot of the beats that Dilla did, like 3 would start them off. And they would be in the MPC. He'd probably go to sleep, and Dilla would wake up and hear it, and Dilla would finish it. But 3 has a great ear, man. He has a great ear. He has dope production. So yeah, man, that was a dope project. It was we came full circle. 11 songs, 5 songs, 11 minutes long, and I think that project can go toe to toe with anybody else's project, man. We did a great project.
That's a damn good record, man. For real.
I appreciate it, man. We put our heart and soul today. He was surprised when he was sending beats. What I wanted to do was I wanted to show the artistry of hip hop in that album with that. The way that T3 sent those beats to me, that's how I wrote. I didn't want him to send anything extra. I didn't want him to make the beat shorter or make the beat longer. However he sent it, that's what I was going to record to. So that's why certain songs are short and certain songs are longer. I wrote songs right around what he gave me. That was what I wanted to do with that album.
Okay. Well, yo, man, I feel like because of the being in the periphery, just being in that Dirty Slums periphery, and getting to know everyone involved with Slum Village had to make it easy to step into a booth together.
Yes, it was dope, man. Because the Dirty Slums, you had myself, rapper Big Pooh, Little Brother, Illa J, T3, Young RJ, Focus from LA Aftermath crew, and that was great. Being in the room with those guys, that was another thing too, to let me know that I was doing okay, because I was able to compete and stand with those guys on the microphone. Because you're talking about Little Brother, man, rapper Big Pooh, one of my favorite rappers. Focus is a dope producer and a rapper, so it was like I had to come with it, man. And I love the fact that I was able to I know how to listen because there was a lot of times, where T3 was like, nah, Vice, you need a different, you got to come hard on this verse, man. You got to do that verse over. And I had to, drop my ego and be like, cool, we just redo it, because we family, not gonna tell me nothing wrong. So yeah, it was great, man. That was a great learning experience for me. Great learning experience for me.
And some dope ass records for real.
Dope records. We did some dope ass records, man.
Most
We
def,
did some
most
dope
def.
records.
Now that participation continues even onto your most recent record, Lifelines.
Yes, I have production from T3 on there. And T3, like I said, he did a couple of songs on there. So yeah, it was and I could have got something from Young RJ, but I just didn't have the I was trying to knock the album out. And
Yeah.
so that'll be for the next one. But yeah, T3 was able to bless me with some joints. I had some great production on that album, man. I worked with some great producers. And I wanted to work with all the producers like that I've been, you know, that's been my peoples for the longest. I just
Right.
felt like I want to put a gumbo together, and I picked the best songs out of what they sent me, and we just knocked it out, man. And I think Lifelines is a great album. It's a great
Oh yeah.
album.
Oh yeah. You
Great
guys
album.
cooked.
Yeah, I just shot a video yesterday for I Am.
Oh, dope.
The first song on the album, I Am, is by SC. I shot that video yesterday. And
Dope.
probably shoot one more video, then we'll put it on the streaming platforms. But for right now, it's just on Bandcamp. But I'm getting great response from it. And it's crazy because it's on Bandcamp. A lot of people don't know that it's out. So they be like, "You got an album out?" And they go listen, be like, "Oh shit, I didn't know you had an album out." So it's like it's still bubbling because it's on Bandcamp because it's quiet. But yeah, man, I
Yeah.
think that that's probably one of the best albums that I've put out.
I would have to agree with you on that. That was it's a dope record, straight up. And you have the advantage now of being able to control the frequency of your releases.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? Because
yeah,
now in 2024, you've got so many tools available to you now where you can literally
yeah.
control how things go, and you can fine tune how you drop things to a very specific community.
Yes, yes, and that's a great thing.
Yep.
That's a great thing to be able to control that, and have a great control over what it is that you do. Because it
Yep.
is our artwork. But that's a beautiful thing. That's one good thing about the streaming. You have the
Exactly.
control. That's one good thing about it.
Exactly. I mean, we talked, we mentioned streaming earlier. We're all familiar with all the things about streaming that suck ass. Yes, we
Yes,
know, right? But again, it all comes down to adapting, right?
yeah, and we have to.
Don't let streaming be your only, output. Like,
Mm,
employ every tool that you have available to you, not just streaming.
yes, not just streaming. You have to take advantage of everything now. It's a little different now, so you got to take advantage of everything.
Yep, most definitely.
Everything.
And now you have, again, even when it comes to visuals, you can control the frequency of how many visuals you drop. I mean, you've got so much control of how things get out now. It's actually, I mean, for independent artists, I think it's a damn good time to put out projects.
Perfect. Yeah, for independent artists, it's great.
Yep.
It's a great thing because you have total control over how you want to release it, when you want to release it, to whom you want to release it to. Um, that's the best thing about it. That's a great, and it's great. You can learn a lot from it. You learn
Yeah.
a lot from it. I tell people do your homework before you do it, but it's a great thing. It's a great thing.
It, it can sometimes be a little daunting. I understand that for some artists to have
Yeah,
so many hands in so many different things at the same time while you're trying to be creative. I know it can be a little, but
Yeah,
it's kind of what you got to do, right?
it's true. You got to do what you got to do sometimes, man. You got to do what you got to do, and that's one of those things that we have to just be a little patient on. Learn, so that you don't get played, and because you can still get played in that too. But
Oh
you
yeah,
just have to learn, and you figure it out as you go along, and it'll work out for you. It'll work out for you.
exactly. You can have the talent, which you most obviously do. You can have the reputation, which you also have. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the business, right?
Comes down to the business. It's what it's called, the music business.
Yeah,
it's,
exactly. And
it's
if
called the
if you
show
know
business.
and if you know the roots of the music business, you know this shit start out shisty from jump.
Yes. So you have to be on point, man, because it's mostly business. It's
Yep.
mostly business. It's about 20% of music, 20% of show, but it's 80% business. You have to be on your business. That's real.
I, for one, am glad that you have been on your business and you've been able to navigate this industry and how quickly things have changed because of technology. Because you were a gifted
Yeah.
MC, you were a fucking serious talent.
Appreciate it.
Oh man, I can't even. And
Thank you.
the reason why we knew we had to cap off this series, the new renaissance of Chicago, is because you've been at the forefront of this for a minute now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
one reason is to also, give it up to you, man. Give you your due
I
props.
appreciate it. I
Nah,
appreciate
for
it.
real, man.
I appreciate it, man. And I saw the other installments. You had some spitters on here. Vic Spencer. I've been knowing Vic Spencer for years. I remember when Vic first started. I've known I Am God for a long time. Rufus is my little cousin. That's my cousin. Panorama P. All of these guys are great talents, man. Those and Chicago is someplace that's always had a lot of talent. It's a lot of talent. It's just terrible that they've taken away the open mics because there was a lot of
Mm.
open mics here in Chicago, and you can really find your talent there. But yeah, man, this has been when I saw what you was doing and you called me for it, I was like, I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? I really do appreciate it because I have been trying to put on for my city for a long time, man. And
Hey, you've been
let
repping,
people know
man. You've
that
been repping.
Chicago rap. I appreciate it, man. I
Oh,
appreciate
for
it when I
real.
got my guys from Canada that can hear me and can show me love. That's like I really appreciate it. I really
Oh,
do.
it's so proper. It is so proper, man, because your especially the most recent album, this deserves to be heard. And I think it'll be once you line up, your movements and start to get more of it out, man, people are gonna know that Chicago never forgot how to rap.
Probably never
Trust.
forgot how to rap. That's facts.
Woo!
Never forgot how to rap, man. We've been here. We've been here just showing them, man, that it's a lot of talent here, man. Like I said, it's a lot of sword swingers here in Chicago. And just I'm glad to be respected as one of the top ones here, man. I worked hard for it. It was something I worked hard for. I wasn't gonna go in the studio half-assing. I wasn't gonna go on stage and do my freestyles and half-ass. I wanted to when I left, you were gonna know who Vice is. You're gonna remember that name. You're gonna remember Vice versa. I know that guy Vice. That was one name I made sure people would not forget. When I stepped on that stage, wherever it was, I was going to make sure that when I left, you was gonna remember my name.
Well, man, I gotta be real with you, man. I think you've accomplished that in spades. Okay.
I
Damn.
appreciate it. I appreciate that.
Sheesh.
Appreciate that.
Now,
That's love.
to finish off, I want to ask you this: the reason why we wanted to do this series is because, I mean, Chicago has been known for talent already. We know this. The names don't have to be said. We know already. Chicago done put on already when it comes to talent.
Yeah.
But with what's happening now, And I got to give it up. I've said it as much as I could. I got to give it up to GQ because he really opened my eyes to what the fuck is going on in Chicago. And that's why we decided to do this series because we were like, man, people need to see, okay, what's going on down there.
Yeah. Yeah. You say GQ?
Yeah.
Yeah, GQ. I've been there. You've been knowing GQ for a long time too, man. GQ's he's the ear of the city, man. He's going to he knows a lot. He knows a lot of people. So yeah, it's been, and that's one thing that I can't say that like I said, man, like if you went to this is like, let's say in the 90s, when you went to an open mic, you had at least 50, 60 MCs in that room. At least 20 of those MCs were cold. When you fast forward to
hungry.
2000s, fast forward to 2000s, the same thing. 2010s, the same thing. So now we're in 2020 to see these the spitters in Chicago that's still doing it and still hungry and still top notch with it. You know what I'm saying? That's a great thing to see. You know, and I'm just proud of my city, man. I'm proud. I'm proud of the sound that's coming from it. I'm really proud of the city.
You
Most
have
definitely.
every reason. You have every reason to be proud because the music that y'all are making right now, this is top notch, top tier shit. Okay, it hangs with everything that you know out there right now.
That's facts. That's facts. It does. You can put it with anything. You know, I'm noticing that
Any
anything, my new album when I dropped it, a lot of people that found it, they were putting in their mixes and it fit right with Elzine Oh No and this person and that person. And I go listen to another mixtape and they get I Am God right after West Side Gun. And you know, it's like it fits, man. You see here Vic
Yep.
Spencer right after Conway and right in the mixes is like it fits. We're putting out some great
Yep.
music, man. Chicago has always been and it's so dope that that we are cool with each other. You know, we all hang,
Yeah.
we all sit around and talk and build. You know what I'm saying? Those are like my little brothers, man. So yeah, it's a great movement. Chicago's a great movement. Renaissance, what I like to call it too.
Yeah, definitely. And that it's obvious that there's an infrastructure there that allows you all to flourish, and that's fucking dope too.
That's super dope. It's just there's no record labels there, but the fact that we have
Right?
the fact that we have some of the greatest DJs and we have some great MCs there that still like myself that reaches out to look out for the younger ones. You know, you have people like me, Pugs Adams, that's still doing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Respect.
you know, Taiwan Davis, Psalm One. These are people that are in
Yes.
my class. You know, they're in my class, and we don't look down on the younger MCs. Rhymefest, Tifa. We work with these guys and help and give them. You know, it's not a older MCs versus the young MCs. We work together. You know, there's no jealousy.
Yep.
You know, it's all good. You know, it's all good, man. And it's beautiful. Like I said, it's beautiful. And the fact that you guys are shedding a light on the Chicago music hip hop scene is great. I really appreciate that. That's
Oh
love.
man, I'll be real with you when because I mean again there were a couple of names I was familiar with yourself and Vic Spencer more notably, but it just blew my mind when GQ introduced me to all the different talents. It's like, okay, nah, fuck it. We need to do a series on Chicago because they're only
Yeah,
8 hours under us. They're practically our
right.
neighbors. So we need to do a series on what's going on in Chicago right now, you know?
And that's love, man. I really appreciate it because the light is definitely need to be shined. And that's great. You shining the light on some great MCs. Some great MCs. That's why I really appreciate the call just to be a part of the series. I really appreciate that.
Yo, all the
That's
honor
love.
and all the salutes go to you, man, because to have you part of this to help us cap off the series was mighty, mighty.
Appreciate that, man. Most deaf. Much love.
Now,
Much love.
we don't want this to be the last time you spend some time in the lounge space, okay? It's an open door policy.
Yeah,
Anytime
man.
we have someone in here, it means we expect you back.
Cool. most definitely. Whenever I see you guys got something up, man, I'm going to post up, man. And like I said, I'm going to send you some music, so you guys can have some things and keep in touch, man, so we can keep it going.
Most
Great meeting
definitely,
you
man.
guys. I
Thank you
wanted to make
again.
sure that I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Thank you. Most definitely. I appreciate that, man.
Now, before we go, we got to mention Lifelines. That is available right now. You need to get it because that shit's dope.
It's available on Bandcamp. Video for Lifelines on YouTube, and the info for the album is there, but it's on my Bandcamp, Vice7 .bandcamp.com. That's where you'll find it. You can just Google Vice Lifelines and it'll come up. And we'll be on streaming platforms very soon, but I have other albums on the streaming platforms, but Lifeline is the newest one, and it's
Yep,
dope.
yep. And the new visuals hopefully will drop soon.
Yes, new visuals should be coming at you guys soon. I will let you know. I'll probably be sending you a little, send you a little peek of it before it drops. You know what I'm saying? So I'll let you guys know that should be coming us in a couple of weeks. If
Man, looking
a
forward to
couple
it.
of weeks. I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it, Jay. Most
Yo, I want to
def.
thank you. I want to thank you again, man, for spending some time with us in the lounge space.
Thank you for
Vice finishing off our series, the new Renaissance of Chicago. It's guaning. It's happening right now. Do not sleep. No cap. Do not sleep.
Don't sleep, man. I love it. Appreciate it.
Yo, respect, homie.
Appreciate it, man. Y'all be safe out there. One
Yo,
love.
be easy. Peace.
All right, man. Peace.